Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, we are going to be going over my top 3 recommendations for builds from the last Epoch build planner website. If you don't know, there is a function for the LE planner website where you can go and make your own fully fledged build guide. Now, of course, with anything on the internet, there's always a bunch of trash, but thankfully, there's a bunch of diamonds in the rough. And that's what this video is planned to do, is to show you guys the builds that I would recommend from the website. So I have went through and I've vetted 3 of them that I think are worthy of mention and definitely get the Dread seal of approval. So let's go and talk about these builds, shall we? All right, so the first build that we're going to be talking about is Cookbooks Totemless Poison Nova Scorpion Beastmaster. Now, this build is a little bit infamous for me because a lot of people will come to me and they'll ask me, "Hey Dread, why haven't you played with Summon Scorpion yet?" And my response is always, well, the reason why I don't play Summon Scorpion is because Cookbook already went out of his way to make one of the best guides for Summon Scorpion ever, and I am the kind of person that believes if someone else does something better than you and they are doing really good quality work, then it would behoove me to not trample on that by making my own Summon Scorpion guide. So I have been shilling for him ever since and sending them all over to Totemless Poison Nova Scorpion Beastmaster, as with the link in the description. So that is why I have never played Summon Scorpion, because Cookbook already did it so well that I simply feel like as though I have no need to. Now, if you don't know how this build works, essentially what you do is you take Summon Scorpion and you spam his companion ability. His companion ability shoots out a bunch of poison projectiles out in a Nova, and they do a very large amount of damage. And of course, as you can spam it with, of course, Swipe with Primal Resonance, and of course the Terra's Blessing as well, this means that you can do a very, very large amount of single target damage thanks to all of the poisons that you're applying. You get aspect of the Viper at the top of Beastmaster, and all of that combined turns this into a very strong bosser. Now, not only is it a very strong bosser, it's also a solo companion build that has a decent modicum of clear. One of the biggest problems when it comes to builds like this that only utilize one minion is their clear usually sucks, right? Because if it's like Summon Raptor, right? Summon Raptor has so much damage it could delete the sun, right? But it has the smallest AoE known to man, meaning that not many people play it because it does a lot of damage, but it doesn't feel good to play outside of bossing. But thankfully, Summon Scorpion is like, it doesn't have that problem because it can simply just use its Poison Nova to clear things in a decent pace. Now, obviously, it's not as fast clearing as something like Wolves, but Poison Nova Scorpion is definitely a cheaper build, in my opinion. And you can tell in the planner, it does not take much gear to get this going. All you need is some cooldown recovery on your gear, and you're good to go. You just spam your swipe, spam your Scorpion's companion ability. It's one of those builds that will simply test the time due to how simple it is and effective it is, right? And I am really happy to be finally talking about it because I've been wanting to talk about it for about almost a year now, ever since the multiplayer patch came, I believe. And this build has been just absolutely amazing, and I wish I could have played it, but I would rather the Scorpion Master do it for me. Now, I would heavily suggest checking out Cookbook's guide if you're into summoning a big scorpion that shoots out a bunch of poison bolts and is really freaking cool. All right, so the next build on this list is going to be by Trickster. It's going to be Shadow Cascade Blade Dancer. So if you know me any, you will know that I have a very large distaste for Rogue. I don't like Rogue that much. There's a lot of problems that I think Rogue has and a lot of issues that it has that I really don't enjoy. So I usually stay away from Rogue whenever I can. Now, I'll play like Lethal Mirage or Hail of Arrows, but anything outside of that, I definitely have no expertise in for the most part. And that's wonderful because that's when Trickster comes in. Trickster is essentially what I would be if I was addicted to Rogue. He has essentially monopolized the entire Rogue market. He has done an absolute amazing job at showcasing every single Rogue build possible, and he has some of the highest quality guides on the Last Epoch Build Planner website and in the community in general. He is one of the favorite people that I actually watch. I don't really watch that many people play Last Epoch, spoiler alert, but Trickster is one of the people I actually watch. So, of course, I'm going to be recommending one of his guides. This one here is a Shadow Cascade Blade Dancer setup that has no uniques whatsoever and is completely SSF viable. I have been wanting to make a build like this for years now, but I have never really gotten over to doing it because I've been very busy, because I view Rogue in a very distasteful light, meaning that I usually don't cover it. But thankfully, Trickster has me going. The idea here is to be as generic as humanly possible. This is vanilla as you can get vanilla. Like, I'm talking like straight on straight vanilla, like no shenanigans, no kinks, just straight up Shadow deck, like Shadow Cascade Blade Dancer. And I really like the amount of effort he has put into this guide, as it is perfect for a new player, as not only does the build require nothing to get going, essentially, it also has a really high ceiling because Shadow Cascade Blade Dancer is a really good build and can actually be pushed very high in the corruption currently if you simply make some tweaks and put in some effort, like Leo showcases, which we'll talk about him later when we get around to showcasing one of his builds. But of course, with Trickster here, essentially the idea is you simply just synchronize strike, then Shadow Cascade. That's all you do. You synchronize strike, you shift, which triggers Shadow Cascade, and that's it. That's all the build is. It's literally very simple. It's as simple as you can possibly get a rogue build, and I'm very proud to be showcasing this build in this video. Now, the next build on this list is going to be a friend of mine. Chukkles has been streaming a bunch of Last Epoch recently, and he's a good friend of mine. And one of his specific builds caught my eye, and that is Channeled Tri-Elemental Nova Runemaster. So if you don't know how this build functions, it is utilizing the new unique helmet Crest of Unity, which forces your Elemental Nova to be Tri-Ele. It gives you a bunch of Elemental pen based on your total uncapped elemental resistance, and it also gives you a very large amount of AoE for Elemental Nova, a large amount of plus skills for Elemental Nova, and gives you a lot of less damage taken. This is probably one of the strongest uniques that they've added in a very long time, as literally the last line on it, the 18% less damage taken if you get a multiple LP version of this, is usable on any mage build. You don't have to just use it on Elemental Nova because that DR is just that strong. Now, of course, today we're going to be playing Elemental Nova. The idea is we're going to be playing Channeled Elemental Nova utilizing Crest of Unity. Now, channeled builds usually are very bad because standing still means you have to take a lot of damage. Well, thankfully, Runemaster is so unbelievably overtuned that we can get enough DR to make standing still not feel like ass, which is great. And thanks to a lot of other uniques, like, of course, Unstable Core giving us a +3 to Elemental Nova. We don't care about the self-cast line, by the way. We just care about, of course, the +3 to skills, right? And all of that combined means that we can play an Elemental Nova with almost 29 levels in its skill. And even then, we feel like as though we're starving for points. So maybe they should probably rework Elemental Nova eventually. Now, another thing that the build gets to abuse, which is really cool, is thanks to all of the elemental penetration from the channeled Elemental Nova, with, of course, Crest of Unity, we can actually abuse a ring like Leah's Signet, which gives us a very large amount of elemental resistances while channeling, which then, of course, can be turned into, of course, penetration. This build gets well over 110 penetration for Elemental Nova, which, spoilers, makes you deal a decent amount of damage. Who would have thought, right? And I really enjoyed the showcase of this build, and it's definitely one of the things that Runemaster is really good at abusing, thanks to the fact that you can do stuff like CFC, you can do stuff like Glyph of Dominion, giving you a bunch of elemental res while standing still, while also giving you a bunch of ward while standing still. All of this combined just makes this build go from a complete meme to really playable and really fun. And every single time they'd be streaming this and I'd be watching it, I was just in awe of how fun it looked. Sadly, I couldn't play it, but thankfully, Chuckles has been able to make a whole guide on the LE build planner for me, so I don't have to put in the work. Because let me tell you, I have too many builds to cover in Last Epoch. So whenever anyone in the community takes a build, pushes it to the absolute extreme, I am just jumping with joy because I can't cover anything. I can't cover everything. So thankfully, other people can come in and fill the holes that I leave with my unstoppable conquest of uploading a gabillion videos on different builds. Now, that's going to be it for this build. All right, and that's going to be it for the video. I'd heavily suggest checking out all of these creators down below as they make really good content, quality builds for quality content. Now, of course, there's a few other guides on the LE Planner that I would recommend, but I don't really have room to put them in this video. We might make a part 2 of this if I manage to do so. But I just wanted to give you guys some kind of like knowledge of what builds I would recommend from the Last Epoch Build Planner website that have been made so far ever since they implemented that feature. Now, with all that being said, if you haven't already, I'd heavily suggest leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel if this kind of content is something you enjoy. With all that being said, this has been Dread, off to go do something else. Bye.